Okay, I'm invisible. Nobody can.
Yeah, you just little devil.
Okay, I'm set. Okay, what I've been asked to do this introduction. And I got something to read here about Larry. Before we do that, I think it would be appropriate if we would pause for a word of prayer. Let's bow our heads. Gracious Father, we pause before you this evening. We thank you for your goodness to us, for your blessings of sending your Son to die for us. Father, we thank you for life and health. We thank you for this great earth that you put us on. We just rejoice in the beauty of it. Thank you for the snow. And Father, I pray this evening that as we've gathered here, that you would pour out a blessing on this group here, a blessing of having a learning spirit, that we could hear and understand what's being said and rightly divided. And Father, I pray for Larry, that as he speaks and as he shows these pictures and explains things, that you might just give him clarity to present the facts. Father, just pray these things in the worthy name of Jesus. Amen. All right. Okay, I'm going to read this. We are very pleased to welcome professional photographer Larry Lorusso. Before Larry begins his slideshow presentation this evening, I would like to give everyone a brief background of some of Larry's many accomplishments. Larry Lorusso began photography in the early 70s. An avid student of the early masters and a love of the outdoors led to his work in nature and landscape photography. In 1975, he began the first of many trips to the southwestern United States. It was on one of these trips in 1977, as Larry stood on the south rim of the Grand Canyon, that he vowed he would come back to the canyon someday. Little did he know it would take almost 20 years, and that he would be rowing a raft on the Colorado River through the Grand Canyon for 18 days in 1996. Since that time, there have been many trips out west and in New England and the East Coast, including 6 trips that he has rafted in the Grand Canyon, as well as many other rafting trips. In 1985, Larry started, you have to say that word for me, Larry.
Side effects.
Side effect. Studio, pronounced, side effects, words right there. To produce photographs for advertising. Prior to that, he worked for various studios, mainly doing retail advertising. More recently, Larry has been working to produce his personal work and doing river trips. Larry's work has been reproduced in numerous publications over the years, including Sierra Club and the Wilderness Trails calendars. Many photographers have influenced him, but particularly Ansel Adams, Minor White, Edward Westman, and Joe Egerton, as well as close friends and teachers. Larry has also been greatly influenced by his dad in nature, and by the many good lessons he has learned from them. Larry has spent many a day and night surrounded by nature, at times by himself, but never alone. And by some measure, there is beauty inside him from such experiences. For Larry Lorusso, photography is a creative use of science when time and place combine, creating a separate reality where, if only for a moment, we can experience something more than ourselves. Okay, at the conclusion of Larry's slideshow presentation, we will take a brief intermission, at which time you may help yourself to coffee, punch, and desserts, and then we would like to come back together so you can ask Larry questions regarding his personal experiences. We would like to give a special thanks to Larry Lorusso for agreeing to come here this evening, and we would also like to thank everyone who helped organize this event. Please note that a table has been set up near the entrance that contains information regarding the proposed project, as well as petitions against the pilot agreement and in favor of a moratorium. Signs are also available. If you did not have a chance to stop at the table earlier, please try to make your way over during our intermission or at the conclusion of our question and answer segment. And I'd like to just say a little extra that's not on the paper about the petitions. On the pallet, I don't know if you're aware, but if the wind company gets their way, they will get a pallet, which means it's a payment in lieu of taxes, where they pay approximately 1/5 of what the taxes would be. It's a deal they make, and then they don't get put on the tax roll. So there's no property can be seized or anything if they don't pay it. But anyway, if they get a pallet, you can be sure that our hydroelectric people will want a deal too. And we will pay more taxes than we've been paying now. Everybody keep that in mind. It don't take a rocket scientist to figure out what's gonna happen. And they don't really reduce taxes in places where the wind companies are at. Some places, some people said it's a couple dollars less. Like Todd was saying, I think it was like $100 less taxes. And some people are saying their taxes actually went up.
I just read in the Malone Telegram that Chattagate taxes are going up this
Yeah.
year. And they're having troubles, they can't meet the tax cap, so they're gonna raise it even further because they might as well make use of the fact that they can't get the tax cap.
So there's no benefit for the average citizen for this wind company, as far as I can tell. And the other thing about the moratorium petition is the officials in our town and county are looking into a moratorium. And I think the more signatures we have, the better it will be for them to get that. So, and the moratorium isn't to stop the wind project, it's only to give time to properly assess what's going on. So you should sign it either way, because we're not ready for it.
Is that Parishville NY different?
Yeah, it's for the
Yes.
project. So Larry, if you're ready,
I'm ready. Are you ready?
Ready.
Okay, so could we dim some of the lights here so that you get, everybody can see it okay? I know probably, maybe some of you folks there want to come a little bit more forward, so then the other thing, I won't be yelling at you. And so, first off, thank you very much for the introduction. I haven't been so worried about saying, but you notice here I have Hoosac Wind. Note the green question, renewable question, sustainable, as you're looking at these pictures. So I was originally, when Hoosac Wind went through, so I live in Western Massachusetts in Clarksburg, Mass. I took the last train, and when I got there, I said, this is the place I want to spend the rest of my life. And it's really beautiful, as you will see, but, so the thing is, I was, and Melissa, my partner, we were for Hoosac Wind in the beginning, but that was based on what I drove. So there is an alternate title to this. And excuse, but you know, the reality is, Iberdrola is the neighbors from hell, okay? That's my experience. After 4 years now, I've lived with it, and I started off. But, so, as we, thank you very much. This is the top of the ridge. There's 2 sets of turbines up there, 10 on our side. So I live 1 mile away from 10 GE 1.5 turbines, okay? And so I understand you folks would, if this goes through, will have much bigger ones. And here's a case where size does matter, okay? And so what I used to, so here's my backyard, literally. This is where we live. So maybe get a sense of why I love it so much as a fan of nature and wild places. Now it's not maybe so wild, but it is, nature is in our backyard. And so, anyways, I used to fondly refer to the ridge, because I've been going up there for 10 years now, and I called it the Enchanted Forest. And so this is an image of the Enchanted Forest in the Winter Wonderland stage. And some of the most amazing trees that you could see, okay? And so here, to contrast it here, this is in the process when they first went up there, started cutting trees and the initial bulldozing. So as you can see, it went from the Enchanted Forest, and this is what it was becoming along the way, all right? And so some of my, so now that's basically the same scene, but later on, when the project was finished. And you can see it looks a lot different, and there's not, what I see is mountaintop alteration on a big scale. So it's not removal, but it is alteration, and all those rocks that you see, they came from some other mountain in the area, okay? And so there was a lot of blasting that took place, but anyways, and going back to, here is the Enchanted Forest in a different time of the year, and let's just get a little feel. Some of the really interesting trees, okay, and the thing is, because of the weather there, really well, so there's a lot of beech trees and sugar maples and stuff, and it's a nice mixed forest there. And I think it was really, here, there's kind of the sinister trees here. This is sort of, you know, from near Oz, as you approach Oz and stuff. So anyways, so this was the thing. So they started work there, and for a long time I avoided it because I didn't want to face my fear. So this was the first trip up there, and I can tell you I cried like a baby when I saw this. I'm so sorry, I get a little emotional. I try not to be, but, and I forced myself to walk the line there, and this is what I saw. So this is what the Enchanted Forest, and I watched them as they ripped it apart. Okay, and it's still a difficult thing for me, but bear with me. And so there's the top of a big mountain, and it's actually blasted there. So that's the high point of the mountain that's gone now. They blasted it to make their access road because you have these huge things that move in. So anyways, here's more scenes of what they did along the way. So this is where Dunbar Brook is born right here, a favorite place of mine. And so no longer. So there's an old wagon era road, Wiley Road, that went through that now has a barrier of this access road. And so here's where Dunbar Brook used to start, and more of that. Okay, and so here I am, standing witness, and so that I realized along the way that part of my role was to be witness to what was going on. So that's my shadows. So I'm being a little artsy crafty there. So here's one of the unique trees. So here we have a sugar maple, okay? And the thing about it is, ultimately, they didn't need to cut this tree. So we're looking at a tree that's probably, I'm not exaggerating, at least 200 years old. And they grow so slow up there because of the weather. So this tree stump, it's a sugar maple. It's 10 inches in diameter. I counted 106 tree rings. And so your typical sugar maple in 50 years will grow about a foot in diameter. So you can see what's going on. A lot of these trees that you saw, you go, oh, that's not much, but they're some really old, very unique trees, you know. And anyways, and so this is along the process. What happened up there, because of the trees, the way they did not have much commercial value. So what they ended up doing is shredding up the trees. Most of the trees ended up getting shredded up and spread around the project before they started doing the other work, which is laying in water. And you'll see the rocks moving. Here's one of the stars there. So this is where they would send the trees in there, and they would be shredded up into that material. And this, I'll bring it back up, and so, you know, more of the equipment, and you don't really get a scale of these things. Here's the road building process, so you can see where they laid in that shredded material, and then proceeded to bring in the broken rocks from somewhere else. So there's another mountain somewhere, a rock quarry, that has been busted up and brought here to fill up the spots. And there's some places that are filled in 50, 60 feet. And it was kind of funny because those trucks, they're big trucks, would come in, dump the stuff, and in 2 minutes, that dozer would have that load spread. And this went on like 12 hours, 14 hours a day, every day. They'd be at 7 o'clock in the morning, they'd start working, and they wouldn't stop until it was almost dark. And of course, there's laws, they didn't obey any of that stuff. There's the machine. Okay, they're bringing in the parts. So this is a section of the tower, and so there would be 3 towers, 3 sections for each tower, 3 blades. The nacelle, that's the guts, the gears and that stuff, and the hub. And so for every turbine, you would have, what was that, 8 huge loads. And as they came through our neighborhoods, and that's what they did, they came through our neighborhoods, they would have the state police at these rolling, they would force everybody to pull over and let them pass through. So it was very disruptive as they were bringing in the parts, okay? And so you get an idea, I mean, these are, you know, they're big